This is GARIS, Masculist, MGTOW flyers. That is 2 3-page essays on the themes of Masculism and MGTOW, written by and read aloud by Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. This is flyer number 399, entitled, "My Brother Got Ball Graded." Description. This flyer reflects on the significance of what happened to my brother recently, who got ball graded by a high-powered COO of a near billion-dollar company. This flyer ponders whether it is wise for an older woman to act on her hypergamous instincts when she is postmenopausal. Now, the flyer itself. My brother got ball graded by Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. Since a lot of you may not have heard of the term to ball grade, I begin with its definition. A woman ball grades a man if she puts him through a third-degree grilling to assess his wealth, his status, his educational level, his power, etc., in order to see whether she considers him fit for her often high hypergamous standards. My brother recently got ball graded and was not at all happy about the way he was treated. I'll start at the beginning, since there is quite a story to be told. My brother decided some months back, like me, that living the lifestyle of a MGTOW monk was rather soulless, so he decided to re-enter the e-dating market. And given his age, 70, there were a lot more women looking for men than vice versa, so he was able to choose fairly readily those women who contacted him who he felt were more than half reasonable, who were slimish, sane, financially independent, not feminazis, etc., and came across one who sounded on paper to be more than reasonable. My brother likes to be able to admire a woman that he has a relationship with, as do I. So when he was approached by a woman of his own age who was the COO, that's Chief Operating Officer, of a very large company with an annual revenue of nearly $1 billion with a B dollars and employing thousands of people, he thought that this woman would be substantial and worthy of his respect, so he talked about her in his weekly telephone chat with me before his first date with her. I wished him good luck with his first date, which was an exercise walk near to the CBD, that's Central Business District of Melbourne, the city we both live in. A few days later, I asked him how his first date with her went. He said it was a disaster. He said he felt he was ball graded. That is, she grilled him about his financial status, his wealth, his status in society, his power level, his possessions, etc. After an hour or so of this, my brother had become frustrated and annoyed, so when the time came to say goodbye, he was feeling like saying to her, "Bye, have a nice life," but simply parted politely, thinking to himself that this ball-grading woman he would never want to see again. When my brother told me all this, I had mixed feelings. As masculist and MGTOW, I know a lot about female hypergamy, that is, the female instinct to mate up, to mate with superior male, to obtain his superior DNA for her kids, so that her kids have better DNA than she has, which is obviously good for the species, so evolved, that all women have. When my brother first told me he was about to have a first date with this woman, a first face-to-face, I said to him, She sounds really good on paper, highly compatible, so good luck with it. But at the back of my mind, I had the thought that she is so high-powered in the sense of being the day-to-day boss, that is, COO, of this very large company that everyone in the state we live in has heard of, our household name. So there might be a good chance that she might reject my brother due to her female hypergamous instinct, which is presumably what happened. Once I'd been told the outcome by my brother, I began to think, if I were such a woman, how would I behave with the men I was dating? What would my strategy be, given that I, hypothetically, am a hotshot manager of a very large company with great power, very high income, and a lot of status? What kind of man would I be looking for? Well, since I'm female, acting the role, I'm hypergamous, so I want a man who is at least my equal and preferably superior to me. Such a preference is built into my genes, my female genes. But since I'm 1 in 1,000 or even 10,000 woman, the odds of me meeting a man of comparable or higher status is very small. So the odds of me actually meeting one on a first date is very small, which implies that the odds of a man I do meet on a first date having lower power and status than I have is high. So I don't want to be wasting my time and energy dating useless men who don't meet my criteria for further date ability. So my strategy will be to extract as much information about the man I'm first dating so that I have enough information to be able to make a well-informed decision about him. That is he worthy of a second date? So I will grill him about his status level, his income, his power, his possessions, etc., so as to be able to compare his worthiness in my strongly hypergamous eyes. If the man fails my hypergamous test, as nearly most will, then I don't care very much, since I'd have no interest nor respect for such men anyway, so being polite with them and going on later dates would be just a waste of my time, so I'm motivated to be pushy, to ball grade. I'm a ball grader, and argue that that strategy is useful and necessary for me, so as to avoid wasting too much time and energy on, in my eyes, inferior, unworthy men. Now, from my brother's point of view, who was no slouch in the business world himself, who took an economics degree, having founded several companies, even owning his own yacht at one stage, who built apartment blocks and was worth millions. Hay fever season. Until he lost half of them to his big-boobed bimbo, who took half of his wealth in her divorce rape of him. He felt that this woman would be his match, a fellow high flyer, a woman he could admire, but instead he was ball-graded intensively to the point he felt, fuck this. This woman is shallow, materialist, misandrist, and not worthy of my affection. So I won't invite her for a second date. In fact, she can go to hell. Being ball-graded like that is as demeaning as a man looking at a woman's cunt the whole time, seeing her as a piece of fuckable meat. So, I have mixed feelings about women's hypergamy. I can understand its importance to the evolution of humanity. We humans are the way we are due largely to women's hypergamy, which has ensured a steady increase in the quality of our human genes, since women have been weeding out the inferior human genes from reproduction, choosing preferably superior male genes for her kids. That I understand, but there's also a dark side to women's hypergamy, both from the point of view of the woman and of the man. I'll start with the viewpoint of the man. Of course, if you are a man and you are rejected by a woman you fancy and consider as a serious candidate for a relationship, then that female rejection hurts. It bruises the ego. It makes a man resentful of the rejecting woman and rouses misogynistic feelings towards her. But it is women's right to choose the type of man they want to date with, mate with, have kids with. It's important for human evolution that she do that, but it hurts the men rejected But evolution doesn't care about such men, since a few generations later, rejected men of a century or more before are forgotten about. Evolution only cares about the winners, those who survived the reproduction game and survived into posterity by reproducing offspring, who in turn reproduced offspring, continuing the genetic line. This is the end of part 1.